I mentioned before the break, Kris Olson, he travels, he writes, so he's two ahead of me. The book is called The Found Vagabond. The Pride of Paris is with us. Kris Olson, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you.
Labor of love?
Yes, labor of love. And it turned into something different than I originally anticipated.
Now, how long did it take to put the Found Vagabond together?
I started working on it probably 6 or 7 years ago. And as usual, you start out with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and you get a lot of progress, and then life takes over. And had a few years there where there wasn't much progress on it. But at this time last year, I said, this is the year. It's going to get finished. And
you're talking about inspiring travel, but how does Boy from Paris, Ontario, how does Boy from Paris, Ontario decide I'm going to do this level of traveling? At what point did it become a book?
Well, I actually was born in Saskatoon and grew up there and
Right.
went to school there. And my wife is originally from Brant here. So we've been in Paris for about 7 years now. And really growing up, I didn't do a lot of traveling. I met some people along the way that inspired me, some international friends I met. And basically after I finished university, I didn't have a job. And I felt like my university education, it wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Now, when you're talking about being inspired, is it the people? Is it their circumstances? Is it the cultures? What did you find as you went through this?
It's usually people. And of course, the surroundings where the people come from. You see a lot of amazing sites, but you can pull up the internet and look at any pictures of any international site you like. But meeting people is really, it changes you.
Now, does this mean you're, because I haven't read the book yet, does this mean you're kind of bunked in with the people you're meeting on these trips?
In some cases, yeah. But you know, my family now, we always travel together with the kids, and we do all kinds of trips. We go to the Cuban all-inclusives, and in fact, we just came back from one. So that kind of a trip is different than going backpacking around Southeast Asia. But when you are on those trips, you can meet locals if you try, and it makes a big difference to your experience.
Does that mean you have to get off the beaten path more than normal? Do you have to kind of duck, the tour operators who are going to want to take you one way?
You never know what's going to do it for you. It's easy to say get off the beaten path, but some of our most memorable experiences has been on an organized tour where something crazy happens, or you meet somebody that changes your life. So you never know. That's
what I wanted to ask you about, because, okay, how to be inspired, fulfilled, get it, driven. Now, what is it about the writing the book and the travel that's helped you to become more driven?
Once you take a little bite, you just want more and more. And the more you travel, the more you realize how much is out there. And there's so many things you can do. And of course, time is limited. You only have so much time. But it drives you to travel, to become better, to change your ideas on things, especially when you meet people in less well-off countries. They have real problems. A lot of our problems, they're first world rich people problems, and they're not that important.
Part of the driven is I almost get the feeling you're living for the next trip, or kind of focused on the next one. So
two trips.
You're driven when you get back here to say, I got to go there. I haven't gone there.
We always have to keep 2 trips in the pipeline, because you can't just have one. When you get back home, what are you going to think about all day long?
Okay, well, the bottom line is, obviously, if it's new destinations, they won't be on the book. What are the 2 trips you got planned?
We have, we have a giant trip coming up. We, both my wife and I arranged for some time off work, and we have a 10-week backpacking trip planned with the kids through Southeast Asia this summer.
How old are the kids?
They're 7 and 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they travel well?
They do. They've traveled since they were babies, and they're very good little travelers.
Okay, so when you're talking Southeast Asia, is that going to take you through Vietnam? Is it going to take you through other areas similar to that? Or?
We haven't really decided yet. We have booked our flights, so we'll be flying into Singapore and out of Bangkok, and in between we'll just see where the path takes us.
I'm worried about what I'm going to have for lunch. You haven't decided what you're going to do when you go to Southeast Asia?
We have some ideas. We have some key sites that we want to see, that we know we want to take in, but a lot of times the best way to go is just get there, get to a hostel and start talking to people and see what they've enjoyed and what they recommend.
Okay, well, you're going to be staying with us. Kris Olson is The Found Vagabond. That's the name of the book. We're going to, hopefully, we're going to have some examples of his travels when we come back. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday, only on Rogers. It's Inside Brant. Well, we promised you photos of his travels. The book is called The Found Vagabond, and the author's with us, Kris Olson. Kris, what are we looking at here?
This is a picture from the first trip that we took with our first baby, my son Magnus.
So you had one child at that point in time, and how old is he here?
Oh, I think he was about 4 months, 6 months maybe.
So they grew up traveling, so that's why you're able to, make it easier. I can't go with my kids. I couldn't go get a bag of milk, without running into some kind of problem.
Yeah, they've been traveling since they were very little.
So do you have like a mega hard drive? We're going to see more photos. You have this mega hard drive with thousands and thousands of pictures. Is the house pictures of trips and...
We do. And, with digital cameras these days, you often take a lot more than you can really consume. But we do.
Yeah, they get to like old-time animation because it's going to take about 40 shots. We got some more pictures coming up here, and you can let us know exactly what we're looking at again. Kris Olson is the author of The Found Vagabond. This one here?
This is, there's actually a chapter in the book that deals with the people that you meet while you're traveling.
Right.
And this is a trip my wife and I, we did a round-the-world backpacking trip, and we met a couple that was traveling along, and we clicked with them so hard, and we spent 6 weeks traveling through Argentina and Brazil. And
have you discovered when you meet these people that they're not as different as the world would have you believe?
Everybody's the same.
Right. Okay, I know, it sounds like it. And this one we're looking at, those giant cacti, is that the plural of cactus?
Yes, and in the background it looks like a frozen lake area, but it's actually a giant salt plain. This is it's a high altitude altiplano in Bolivia.
Now, of all your travels, we're looking at another photo here, and this is from where?
This is Fraser Island in Australia.
Have you got a favorite?
It depends. I've got a favorite place for diving, a favorite place for trekking.
Okay, that's great. And wow, obviously you're not always traveling in the summer, or is this the summer?
No, this was a very unusual trip. It was a day trip to Greenland that we took from Iceland when we were there.
That's amazing.
And that was a picture of
temperature when you were there was what?
That was from the airplane, so I have no idea.
Perfect, okay. And this shot's from where?
This is in Pakistan, on a trekking trip in Pakistan.
Now, I don't want to give anything away in the book. Have you had some difficult travels? Have you run into some surprises along the way?
Oh, sure. We've been robbed several times. At knife point once.
He says smiling. Okay. And this one here?
This is actually also in Pakistan. It's in a giant shipbreaking yard where they drive these huge old ships up onto the beach and they rip them apart by hand with blowtorches. Wow.
That's amazing. By the way, this one, I actually caught this picture in the book. This is from where?
This one here is from Peru. It's basically a tribe of people that live on these floating reed islands.
Right. So before we let you skip away, where can I find the book?
The book. I have some distribution locally. So in Brantford, it's available at Stedman's downtown.
Right.
Kohl's at the mall and the Station Gallery. And
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then in Paris, it's at Flashback Consignment Store and the Green Heron.
And this picture we just got up here?
This is on top of Table Mountain in Cape Town, South Africa.
If I'm going to get one thing out of this book, what am I going to get?
I think what you'll get is having a new idea about being able to travel not just in extraordinary international locations, but in your backyard too.
This isn't your backyard?
This is not our backyard. No, that's the weekend I got engaged.
Really?
It is.
Okay, well, some guys get scared. And where was that?
That was in St. Vincent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Okay, so we know where to get the book and everything like that. If you learned, what's the number one thing you've learned by all the traveling?
Be nice to people.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. It sounds like you started with the disposition and you just kind of worked it from there.
Yeah, it's if you're nice to people, they will repay you back many times over.
And you don't run into language barriers or head nodding and hi, good to see you.
You can get a long ways with hand signals, and I guess you can probably use Google Translator now, but we've never really had
hand
to
signals
use that.
will probably be the reason they robbed me, and you were so good about that. Listen, Kris, been a pleasure. This
Great,
is fabulous.
thanks,
The book is called The Found Vagabond: How to Be Inspired, Driven, and Fulfilled by Travel. Again, as Kris mentioned, you can get it in lots of different locations around the city. Just ask. The author, Kris Olson, has been our guest. We're coming back. We're going to talk tech because he's got the information, and it's a Wednesday. Sid Bolton around the corner, inside Brant.